The Nigerian Youth Parliament was established in the year 2008 under the leadership of late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua as an offshoot of the Commonwealth Youth Charter and United Nations Convention on Youth Development, which mandated signatory nations to establish ministries of youth affairs and ministries of women affairs to foster youth and women inclusion in government. Since then, the Nigerian Youth Parliament has been thriving as the current assembly is the fifth under the speakership of Honorable Azizat Yeshawu, jointly managed and promoted by the Federal Ministry of Youth Development as well as the National Assembly. Today's discussion focuses on the representation of youths in Lagos Central District. The program continues after this short message. I'm Joshua Gude, your host. Don't go away. In case you're just tuning in, the program is Young Parliamentarians reaching you from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. And joining us on the program is a member representing Lagos Central District at the Nigerian Youth Parliament, Honorable ABDULMUMIN, EDIDI. You're welcome to the program.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here today. And how are you too?
Very good. Abuja is fine. And how's Lagos today?
Very well, thank you.
Okay, let's start on a lighter note. Your emergence as the representative of Lagos Central Youth seems interesting. What is your secret?
Well, so for me, it has to do with youth development activities. So I think at the point when I was nominated, I was vying for a role at the level of the Commonwealth Council. I was vying to be Vice 21 between 2020 and 20 of the authorities, and decided to put me forward to be the voice of young people in my constituency.
Unlike the National Assembly, the Nigerian Parliament is unicameral in nature, in which it is more aligned with the Senate, since you have 109 members from all the 109 senatorial districts across the Federation. Interestingly, since the Nigerian Parliament was conceived alongside Ministry of Youth and Women Affairs, it is structured to be gender sensitive. How managed?
Well, I think that only makes sense, because the convention, the charter that bettered this platform, alongside it was already considering the issue of women inclusion, right? So it was only, and it's not just about women, it's just that, we are just coming up in terms of women representation. So most times you see most states having 2 men and 1 woman, but of course we've seen other states that have 2 women and one man, so it's just a deliberate attempt, efforts from the authorities to ensure that they promote young women inclusion in policy making and then leadership.
All right. What makes the Fifth Assembly peculiar in its leadership structure compared to other assemblies? We've talked about, the assembly being gender sensitive. Has that been is this the case in previous assemblies? What makes this one unique?
Okay, so what differentiates the Fifth Assembly of the NYP from previous assemblies is the fact that we had a female speaker, and that was the first time in the history. And I also want to lay emphasis on the fact that having a female speaker, yes, it has to do with the enthusiasm of the contender or the speaker herself, but it has more to do with the members of the parliament, right? Because if the members of the parliament do not believe in female leadership or female representation, then I don't think you would have a female speaker because you can't put yourself there, right? So I think much of the kudos goes to the collective effort of members of the parliament in deciding to elect a female speaker. Of course, it wasn't automatic. There were other contenders, but then she emerged. And so I think that's what differentiates us from others, is an effort to try something new and an effort to promote a new ideal. And yeah, so that's one unique thing. And of course, for the first time in the history, members of the parliament are engaging in constituency engagements, constituency activities, constituency programs. Like myself in Lagos Central, we've done a lot of things, and this was not very common in previous assemblies. They did more of collective programs at the national level without really doing outreach to the people that they represent. So yeah.
As a follow-up question, there's an allegation of this elusive nature of the Nigerian Parliament to engage, the media, knowing rightly that the media is the fourth estate of the realm, meaning after the three arms of government, we are the next as the media. I'm a witness myself, and I can tell. Is your assembly having some skeletons in its cupboard, that you wouldn't want the media to know? And is this peculiar, with the previous assemblies?
Well, to start with, the Assembly, the fifth session of the Nigerian Parliament, officially drew the curtains in November 2024 this year, after a 3-year term. And I cannot speak authoritatively for my colleagues or for the Parliament because I do not have that duty, but I can speak for myself. I engage the media actively. I partner with the media actively. There is none of the programs that we've done that we do not have at least 2 media houses, both print, both TV, both radio, private and government support, right? So when it comes to engaging with the media, for me, I have no concerns. As a matter of fact, we also met with the management of the station NTA to advocate for a platform like this. And we are glad they responded, and then we have the Young Parliamentarians show on the NTA, which is highly commendable. So I don't know if anybody has any skeletons, but for me, I'm always open and willing to engage with the media.
And then how are you are you making an attempt to correct these, and to maybe to sensitize others, young parliamentarians, especially at the level of the Nigerian Parliament, to engage the media, to see media as being a stakeholder in whatever legislative business they are doing, whatever setting you're making, whatever recommendations, whatever legislation that you're making, without kind the media along is useless. Are you making any attempt to let them know that, you may say it's a Lagos, is this Lagos spirit, but this is 21st century. Media is very important.
I assure you that this show is going to be having more of my colleagues that I know, that I can vouch for, who have been looking for means to express their thoughts, to advocate for one policy issue or the other. They will be coming on board. As you know, this show has just, I think, started very recently. And I must tell you, we also played a back-end effort in ensuring that we had a platform like this, because we know that there is NTA Parliament. And if we have NTA Parliament should be able to afford the Youth Parliament a platform. And we are appreciative for doing that. Even in Lagos, we had a meeting with the management of Lagos Television. And of course, starting from January, we are going to be having a program called Lagos Youth Show. This is to tell you that we are not shying away from media. So yes, we are trying to change this narrative through some of these efforts that have been made. But again, there are a lot of other issues that has to do with the Parliament, right? Because you see, it's a platform for political inclusion. And so many people, some colleagues might not really see it as, wanting to engage with anybody or any member of the media. Their main focus might be, how do I position myself politically so that from here I take another role. And someone in that kind of setting would not want to do anything that would dent or deter their chances. I think that's the problem.
That's a good one there. Honorable, the time now to go on another break. Do stay with us.
Are you looking for a short channel to make your business, goods and services go viral? Look no further, as NTA Parliament is your short channel. Take advantage of our wider reach and advertise your products and services on NTA Parliament DSTV channel 370, GoTV channel 126, StarTimes channel 306, and Free TV channel 706. For more inquiries, contact the marketing department, NTA Parliament, NTA Headquarters Area 11 Garki, Abuja, or call these numbers 080-383-40464 or 080-770-78055. NTA Parliament, strengthening Nigeria's democracy.
Welcome back to the program. I'll be speaking with the member representing Lagos Central District in Nigerian Parliament, Honorable ABDULMUMIN, EDIDI. Now let's go to the next question. The bulk of work of the legislature is at committee level. You are the chairman, Committee on Drug and Substance Abuse Control, as well as Works and Housing. Only you handling two committees. The allegations of favoritism on the part of the leadership of the parliament seems true. Do you agree, please?
Absolutely false. Absolutely false. I won't want to go into much details, but for anybody who has a record, I wasn't very much in alignment with a lot of things that the leadership of the parliament did. So that allegation could not have been true. As regards the matter of holding two committees, those two committees were not, I didn't chair those two committees at the same time, right? They were on different occasions. I started to chair the Committee on Drugs and Narcotics, which is basically drugs and substance abuse control at that time, even before we were inaugurated, right? And that was because at that point in time when we were preparing for inauguration, we were already drawing up blueprints and frameworks on how we were going to, represent the youth. And so the issue of drug abuse was alarming for us then. And so I was privileged to be appointed by the Secretariat of the Parliament to lead a committee of the whole, which means all members of the Parliament at that time. We didn't have a speaker yet, to develop that policy framework. And so after that policy had been concluded, I decided to opt out and requested that I be allowed to explore other alternatives because I didn't want to be construed to just drugs and narcotics. It's not my specialization. I am an engineer by profession. I'm a chartered engineer. And yes, that was what petted the idea of me chairing the Committee on Works and Housing. And for the Committee on Works and Housing, we did a quite number of things. I remember I moved a motion in 2022 in the Nigerian construction industry. And that motion came at a time when we were talking about brain drain in the medical sector. So for me as an engineer, it was important for me to bring forth what other young professionals in the construction industry were facing. To say that, look, it's not only in the construction industry that we're having brain drain. Now you have mechanical engineers, civil engineers, surveyors. They are moving away from the construction industry and going into IT. Many of them are becoming product managers, becoming tech pros, techs, which is reducing the number of talents we have in the construction industry. And some of the recommendations and prayers we had in that motion was that the federal, state, and local governments should enforce 75% local talents in any government construction project. In the 75% of your workers must be taught, not less than 50% of the workers on any project must be young people. We also prayed that there should be mandatory training by foreign contractors or foreign employers for these local talents, not that you just leave them and go. We should ensure that they train them so that they can become self-sufficient. They can be adequate transferred knowledge, transferred technology to our own indigenous sector. We cannot continue to follow local foreign contractors forever. We have to develop our own indigenous organizations to the highest standard available. The policy also prayed that safety standards should be ensured. If you go to a lot of construction sites, road construction, the level of compliance with safety rules and standards is very poor. So that was part of the effort. And apart from that motion, we also made a lot of effort under my leadership as the chairman, House Committee on Works and Housing. We advocated for monthly rents. Even the former Minister of Works, my own mentor and leader, His Excellency Babatunde Fashola, and being an advocate of that. If you look at a lot of young people today you are working in a state, in a region, you should be able to pay your month rent, your rent monthly, such that if you are relocating from that region to another region in the next 5 months, you don't have to face the burden of, oh, I've already paid 1 year rent, I've already paid 2 years rent. So these are germane issues that affect young people when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to housing in the country. Part of the things we have also been advocating for is that the government should ensure that young people can have access to mortgage plan. Look, today, for you to have access to mortgage plan, they'll be considering people that earn 1 million naira above a month before you can have access. I'm not saying for a fact, but I know that those are some of the policies.
Conditions.
Now, that needs to be reviewed. How many young people earn 1 million naira a month in Nigeria,
Exactly.
right? We critically look into that to break it down into a way that from the age of 25, when you start working, just like we have access to NEL fund, the study loan, right? People should be able to start planning because owning a house is important. Look at it today. Lagos is overcrowded. Why? Because there's constant urban rural migration, right? So to avoid things like this, people should be able to have access to a plan that they can build their own homes, even from their own town, their own home of origin, from their own local government, so that they know that even if they go to a place like Lagos or Abuja to work, they know that, oh, they have a place to head back home, to call home for themselves. So if you start a mortgage plan from the age of 25, by the time you're 35, 40, you should be able to, have completed your own home. And then by that time, you should be paying back this mortgage, right? And also, it should be extended to the private sector, to the lenders, to the banks, right? They should be able to see this as a serious concern. The earlier we're able to resolve the issue of housing, the more stabilized this country is going to be. And it's also going to have a lot of impact on our economy because the moment there's more liquidity, right? There's cash flow, right? Moving right and center, and then more people have purchasing power. One of the things we also advocate for keenly is the fact that young people must be included in infrastructure planning and development in this country. Look, the second Niger bridge that was constructed under President Buhari, go there every now and then. Some young people are removing the drain covers. They are removing the rails. Come to Lagos, you see people, the third mainland bridge that was just reconstructed, you see people going there to cut the rails. These are things that have been put in place to protect the infrastructure, to protect the people that use this infrastructure. Why is this happening? Because the young people who are key stakeholders, who form 70% of the population of this country, are not being included in infrastructure planning, right, and development. If they are being included, they will take personal ownership of that infrastructure. I'll take us back to the issue of 774 local government, 1,774 local government jobs that came up under President Buhari. If we could do that, then it means we can recruit young people to plan the infrastructure of this country. I think, for instance, there's a road to be constructed in a local government. You don't need to bring workers from outside. It should be the youth in that community that contribute to the construction of that project. And that way, you're already putting it on their neck to say that, look, this project is yours and you must protect it and ensure that it works, right? And so, yes, we have a poor maintenance culture in Nigeria. As an infrastructure engineer, we can always come up with frameworks and policies on how to address this issue. But the government has also to be deliberate because you can't be spending money every five years rehabilitating roads, and building the same infrastructure all over again. So that's what I have to say about my role being the chairman House Committee on Works and House.
But let me talk from my own experience as a National Assembly correspondent that has covered Committee on Narcotics and Drugs at the level of the Green Chamber. There is this survey of UN survey of 2018, that revealed that in Nigeria we have a very high rate of, drug abuse in the southwest, especially in the southern part of Nigeria, and Lagos in particular, as the highest in the southwest. This is your committee. What are you doing?
Yes, when I was chairman of that committee, we developed a policy document called the Nigerian Parliament Drug and Substance Abuse Control Policy, right? But I've since stopped being the chairman of that committee. I later became just an ordinary member of that committee because I had already played a role to ensure that the chairman that took over from me could, do better so that I could focus on the works on housing role that I had. But however, yes, we did come up with that policy document, and it's been implemented. We've led advocacies on it. Some of the recommendations from that policy document includes peer-to-peer engagement. For us in Lagos Central, one of the things we did that we looked at the issue of peer-to-peer engagement, right? And we decided to explore cognitive behavioral education in secondary schools. In our schools in Lagos State, unfortunately for us, junior secondary, senior secondary, even primary school now, there's drug abuse. I was going to see the chairman of a local government sometime 2 years ago or thereabout. And in the middle, this was around 1 p.m. On the middle of the road, I saw students schooling in that local government throwing stones at themselves, having a gang war, right? This would not have happened if some of them were not under the influence of substance abuse, right? So it's a serious issue. We know, yeah, we have tried our best on it. We'll continue to try our best on it. So for us, in the 3 years that I spent representing the youth of Lagos Central, we have organized a program called Lagos Central Inter-Secondary School Debate on Drug Abuse annually, right? Where we bring students from different schools, junior and senior, to debate the different topics that relate to drug abuse, right? And one thing we also did is we linked it up with one of our campaigns called Do Tech, Not Drugs. Hashtag Do Tech, Not Drugs. So while they are debating, some of the prizes we've given them includes laptop, mobile tablets, scholarship, with the support of our leaders like Our Excellency Mrs. Abimbola Fashola, Honorable Bola Olusegun Ishao, the First Lady of Lagos State, and a host of others, right? When we give these students this laptop, they also have access to scholarship to study tech and robotics, coding and robotics, sorry. So some of these things is to say, look, don't do this thing that is negative. Don't do these things that is bad. Focus on this tech and you can build a future for yourself, right? So these are some of the things we've done. We've also advocated for drug screening and testing at the point of election. If you are positive to any sort of substance and you're standing for election, you should be disqualified. We have also advocated for drug testing and screening at the point of admission, at the point of marriage, at the point of anything that, if, as a matter of fact, for us, is an epidemic, right? If you can relate it with COVID-19, if you can do testing for COVID-19, then you should be able to do the same for drugs. Why?
Wonderful.
Anybody that is under the influence of drug abuse would engage in domestic violence. Anybody that is under the influence of drug abuse will destroy our infrastructure. Anybody that is under the influence of drug abuse is a security threat. Go and check the records. There is none of the people who have been arrested for terrorism, for vandalism, for criminal acts in this country that has not been under the influence of one substance or the other. Check the Boko Haram terrorists. Whenever they are arrested, you see the way they look. You know that these guys are under the influence of drugs. So it's a serious issue and it's a call for everybody. We've done this for years.
Okay, you've spoken a lot about your policies and programs. Let's be particular, as regards your constituency. In your engagement with your constituents, what are the fundamental needs that I think government at any level, or shall I say all levels, need to tackle urgently? The basic needs, urgent needs.
One of the key things for us in our constituency now is empowerment, right? When I mean empowerment, it has to do with education. There are still some places in our constituency where students have to travel miles, to be able to access secondary schools. We need more schools. We've mentioned this to Mr. Governor, the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, to help us on this matter, and then he promised to work on it. Lagos is a big city with a small landmass. So when you're going to do any major infrastructure in Lagos, space is an issue. But empowerment in terms of healthcare, for instance, there's another program that we've done annually. It's called the Lagos Central Youth Healthy Lifestyle Fiesta, also known as Lagos Central Youth Fit. In that program, what we do is we promote healthy living and universal health coverage amongst the youth, right? Because you look, today, a lot of young people fall sick every now and then, kidney, cancer, stroke, this and that. We believe that if young people have access to universal health coverage, which is insurance, then you don't need to be contributing money for someone every now and then because already that person is insured.
Can you share your most exciting as well as the most challenging moment in your political career with us? Nigerian youth, we want to learn from that.
Well, for me, I think the most exciting thing for me, especially because we finished our term as representatives, is the fact that when we came on board, we took an oath, in the National Assembly. We took an oath of allegiance, to the country, to the Constitution of the Federal Republic. And I took a personal oath of allegiance to the Duke of Lagos Central, which I represent. So I'm looking back, I appreciate and I'm happy about the fact that I kept to the promise that I made to provide quality and deliberate representation of the youth. And most of them have reached out, even as I yesterday, I still had a meeting with some of them. And they said, yes, we met their expectation and even exceeded their expectation. And with that, I'm happy, and that's the most exciting thing for me. I'm happy because this is what my mentor and leader is known for and has always done.
What of the most challenging moment?
The most challenging moment for me is looking at the composition of our parliament, having 109 of us. And we find out that, a lot of people, a lot of my colleagues, unfortunately, are not aligned with the same thing. We expect that when we come on board, we are going to fight for the youth, not violence, but, intellectually, strategically, advocate for those things that affect the youth. But unfortunately, you see people fighting for appointments. I mean, come on, you are a representative already. Out of maybe 1 million heads in your community, you have the privilege of being a representative. Why not live up to that expectation first before you start looking for another appointment? And it goes on like that. You find out that those same people, when they use this one to get that appointment, the next thing they'll be looking for the next appointment, you'll be looking for the next appointment, and then there's no impact whatsoever. And so I'm going to advise anybody, any leader, any organization that is willing to pick people or young leaders for a role in future to say, don't just look at I was this, I was that. Ask them, in this place and this time, what did you do when you held this position, right? What did you do? And you must relate it to what you were expected to do if you met up with that. If you didn't meet up with that, it means that you just went there to do your own thing. They do not just want to use it, to benefit others for whatever reason. So that's one of my low moments, because again, it makes you a lone wolf. It makes you on your own. You're just on your own journey, while most people are doing so many other things. But yes, there are a lot of my colleagues that are also doing exceptionally well across different quarters in Bauchi, in Akwa Ibom, in Ogun State. So yeah.
Thanks for your insight, and thanks for featuring on the program, Young Parliamentarians, Honorable EDIDI. I'm sure Lagos constituents must be proud of you, with this discussion. This is where we draw the curtain on the program for this week. See you next time on this same channel, as you can also watch us and participate in our discussions on the social media platforms scrolling on your screen. Your feedbacks are very important to us. Once again, I'm Joshua Ogujide. Bye for now.